Bongi Msomi is getting more time to reflect on her professional netball career. The former Proteas captain made a name for herself on the sports courts worldwide. Now, this culminated in her captaining her nation in a home netball World Cup last year. She joins us in studio to talk to us about her career. Bongi, a very good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Evening, but thank you so much for having me.
How easy was it for you to eventually say, I've served this sport and I want to retire?
I'll be lying to say it was easy, but I think I can honestly say it's something that I had planned for over the years. I knew in my career that I've done enough, I guess, to really look at the sport and think it wasn't just sport, it actually gave me life, and I'm set where I am and actually get to a point where I could easily say I am done. And being done, it really meant I'm going to a career where I'm now going to take netball in a different perspective compared to being on court. So I think as much as it wasn't easy, I was just excited of what's next. And that's what I'm actually, looking forward to.
Let's talk about that next, because, I mean, when you say you're retiring from netball, you think, okay, Bongi doesn't want anything to do with netball anymore. You're not close to the sports.
No ways.
Yeah.
Like literally today, I was at one of the tournaments, the high schools tournament, and that way I was doing recruitment for UJ Netball. Obviously, I'm a netball manager there and coach, which is something that I'm actually really excited about. We played the varsity netball final last year for the first time, and in my coaching career, I thought that was really massive. I was coaching against, the big coaches, the likes of Jenny Van Dijk, with all the other coaches that are really doing well in South Africa. And obviously we had Jenny as the head coach, with Zanele Mdodana as an assistant, so I have to say credit to them and congratulations. But yeah, I think myself, it's just about coaching and really being out there through my projects. I have a Bongi Msomi Legacy project, which is really going well. From Hammersdale, I get the kids to get out and play the sport they love. I give all the support that I can, and I also do, I guess, academic support through the projects. I love the idea of athletes, student athletes, compared to just athletes, because that actually made Bongi, I believe. So that's something that I'm pushing really hard, and I want to see how far that can go. But I'm just excited to being free. I feel like I'm free to come get, as much, I guess, athletes out there to be at their best.
When you go back to that young Bongi in Hammersdale, starting out netball, 2010 trying out, not making the squad, I mean, how would you sum up your career since then and how it has changed your life?
I'll definitely say it's been incredible. I think you don't really see, the whole steps of your career, and you don't picture it being so massive like mine was, I believe. And I have to say, credit to my upbringing as well. I think that played a crucial role in who Bongi was, especially in terms of leadership. I think we look at, I guess, our background and we think maybe it was a disadvantage in terms of sports. If you didn't have much, maybe that's where you were disadvantaged. And every time I looked at it, I just thought, my dad was actually a community leader, and at home we were grounded, kind of. There was certain rules, there were certain things that you could and can't do. And I think I really took that, especially the respect part, to go through with me and to create my character and who I want to be and how I want to be seen out there in sports. And I think that's why I probably could stay in the sports, environment for so long, but also to lead the side as well. I think I always said this, I respect people, and you don't have to have a title for me to respect you. And I've been lucky to get that back, especially with the athletes I worked with. So I think it's been just incredible in creating an even better Bongi going forward. I've been so confident, as a person compared to when I started. And I think obviously when you get given leadership role, you actually had to change and adapt to certain things, which I have to say credit to the sport. It has really, I guess, done me good in that way.
Well, I remember you from way back in 2010, 2011, so I can see the big improvement. But one thing that you once said, Bongi, was the issue of growing up and not having role models. That even when you look at netball, there were no black players there. You couldn't identify. Has that changed, or is it something that, as I know you've been quite passionate about, to create that space for younger girls to look at you and say, Bongi played at the Commonwealth Games, Bongi played at the World Cup, and I want to do that?
Oh, I honestly think it has changed so much. Like I said, I've been at a netball tournament today, and to see, athletes really still, they actually still see me as an athlete, and they've been really honestly talking about my retirement. Why did I retire? I was going and play. And for me, that's, as much as it's exciting, it's still a bit awkward to get people, to look up to you so much that even when you stop the sport, they still see you as their icon or whatsoever. So in that sense, I want to say I also work with black athletes back at the University of Johannesburg. I think about 5 of them, now that I've retired already, went to training camp and for the national side. And that's, for me, is actually something that I'm passionate about. And I've said it over the years. I don't care if it's on the male side or females. I want to create a lot of even better Bongis. And I love the platform of my work at UJ because it gives me that sense of be at a high performance setup, coach these athletes, give them the passion, the love for the sport, but also make them see that it's not just about being an athlete. I really believe that I've played the sport, but I also learned so much outside being a player. I coach, and I actually believe I could do a lot in terms of, I guess, commentating. There's a couple of things I can do because I wanted to be an athlete holistically, not just being on court, and that's what I'm really trying to push. So it's been amazing to see a lot of these black kids taking up the space. It shouldn't be about the color, but you also obviously want to balance things up and you want to give chances where they're probably not as given as much as, the balance. You want that to be out there. And I think, I've seen the likes of Kanyisa Chawani. She's at the national side doing really well. Refilu Nketsa is there. There's Boitumelo, Nupundo, Tale Mate. There's kids that are really taking up space that you would think, the likes of Bongi and Pumza, leaving that space for them, you would know they're actually in the right path, and we can always guide them from, afar, I guess.
What was it like getting that call-up in 2011 for the national team?
Fighting enough. Every time I think about that, I'm just like, I was scared. Like, I didn't think it was a space where I should have been at the time. I wasn't confident enough to.
And especially because the year before that, you didn't receive the call-up. Yeah.
And I was with the under-21 2009, and I was captain of the side, but I don't even know what that meant, because I made the squad, and eventually I was just a captain, and I was like, I don't even know what my role, is. And then I got to be called 2010 for the squad. I didn't really make the team. I wasn't part of the 15. Eventually, I then made the under-20, the seniors in 2011, which was just a massive thing because I knew, about the World Cups, and I knew it's something really big. You represent your country, and this is now the top national team being picked, and you're part of it. And I really, honestly, I was scared. I was just like, I'm going to learn as much as I can. If I get a chance, I'm going to play my best, and I'll take it one step at a time. And I honestly still remember my coach saying, you've got to prepare well, and when you play, just let it all be like a bonus. If you play well, that's a bonus, but make sure you prepare well. Until today, that still guided me. You've got to prepare to be ready in sports, and I guess that's how I train my kids as well. But yeah, I think that journey has been just amazing. To think 2011 up to now, I didn't really think it was going to go, up to where it actually went.
And the timing couldn't have been better because you eventually played at World Cup at home. And that's when you eventually said, I'm calling it, I'm done with this career. What was it like playing the World Cup at home, the Netball World Cup at home?
Oh, it was fantastic. I think we always push for the sports to go to a professional setup. Still not there yet, kind of semi-professional, if I can put it like that. But in saying this, if you get a lot of people seeing, what this sport is about, what is a national team being at a World Cup, for these young athletes to look up to us, to actually see that physically at home, I thought there was a massive opportunity, something that I never had, at my time when I was at the age group. And also, just for all the corporates, people, sponsors to come on board and actually see netball in a very different perspective compared to what it was before. I really think it did set a tone in terms of, people realizing how much support netball still needs, but how much support netball has, because that also needs to be shown out there. It's not just the sports. I think it's really doing well in terms of, I guess, grooming players, giving them opportunities. And the more that is pushed, the more players are going to actually want to play the sport, to take it as a career. Because I do think it's heading to the right direction, but probably still a lot more to be done for that to really fully materialize. But yeah, I thought that World Cup was just insane. Probably not as fantastic for us as a team because we obviously finished sixth, which wasn't actually what we wanted. But I really want to say it was just the experience that you can never even take for granted. It's something you will always talk about and have goosebumps because it was at home and it opened so many doors as well. And that's what we would want for our sport.
You had an opportunity to play overseas. You played in the UK, you played in Australia. What was that like, and how has that helped you in improving your game?
I think the biggest thing is just how professional everything is. And I know it's about, if you sign a contract to play overseas, it's about, obviously now you have a job. This is your job. You need to execute. You need to bring in results. You need to be at your best performance. And to actually build into your trainings, thinking like that, I think that alone is a massive difference compared to here at home. You know you want to play at the national side, but the build-up onto that is not like you play for a club and you're thinking, I'm a professional athlete. We're still just not, which is a big difference. But also in terms of, I guess, confidence, you play against all, I guess, top players in the world, depending on who you come up against. And that's for me, when I went overseas to play, to come back here, I always knew that netball is tough. It's not an easy sport to play, but I've always had that confidence that I've seen worse. So I should be able to keep up or to cope with whatever that comes my way. And also to just be around you, you know, a lot of people by yourself, coming from Hammersdale, to actually learn so many things, to learn to be independent and actually just do things on your own. You sign a contract with us, you get some money to budget, to think about what do I want to do in the next future, in the next 2 years, 3 years' time. And I actually think it made me mature actually very quicker than what I was at the time. And even the idea of saying in 2019 cut to going overseas because I've got a job at the University of Johannesburg, that alone wasn't easy, but the maturity that I had obviously over the years getting these opportunities made me realize what is it that I want and need at the time, and what decision can I make. And I think that was actually the best decision to make at a time for an athlete to actually start building the transition. Because I'm sitting here comfortably today because of the decisions I think I made over the years, which is actually what's being overseas actually really taught me.
Just finally then, Bongi, very briefly, we are out of time. What can you say to those young girls that are like a young Bongi who was growing up in Hammersdale, who's now looking at you and says, I want to be like that, that's my role model there? What can you say to them?
The first one is to just think about, people will tell you to work hard, and it just sounds like it's something that everyone says all the time. You cannot actually achieve anything if you don't want to put in the work. But before you even do that, it's about identifying what you want to achieve. If it's netball that you want to do as a career, you've got to have plans in place. You should know, like if you want to play a certain position, who plays those positions, who can I get the information from? And then you start building into what's the next thing that I can do to prepare myself, you know, to be at a better position, to be selected as you go, but also to be better yourself first. Don't lose yourself, through the journey of playing the sport, because that really matters along the way. No one wants to coach an athlete that actually probably doesn't even have respect, or doesn't even know who they are. So I think also to understand that it gives so much opportunities. Like sitting here, I'm one of the, I guess, Rock Nations players who well looked after, I can say, and it's really start from where I come from, what I've achieved, and then up to where I am now. Basically, I think because I just didn't lose myself through the whole process. Bongi,
thank you so much for coming through to talk to us. And thank you for the entertainment throughout the years and representing the nation with pride.
Thank you so much, but thank you.